Hello down here.
Hey everybody, this is Atticus TheDeathMetaller, and welcome to the year's final episode of the TheDeathMetaller Reviews. Here on this episode, we are going to be reviewing Motionless in White's fourth release, Graveyard Shift, with this album right here. And before we get down to the review, as always, let us do a little history of Motionless in White. Formed in 2005 at the blue-collar town of Scranton, Pennsylvania, Motionless in White has built up quite the reputation over the years. With the name choice of their group, they stated it was derived off of the song Motionless in White by 18 Vision. Their style of music is better described as a blend of metalcore, goth metal, and industrial metal. They have also been described as horror metal to some. Most of their musical influences derive from such bands like AFI, Atreyu, Bleeding Through, Sex Pistols, Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails, Rammstein, Cradle of Filth, The Cure, Depeche Mode, him, and a bunch of others, which you get the drift of what I'm trying to say here. I first discovered Motionless in White back in 2010 when they were just starting to get super big. I did not really pay that much attention to them till I was really drawn to their second release, Infamous, where their music really drew into me. Infamous was a release in some ways that got me super hooked onto the band. I loved the many styles and influences the Infamous album had, ranging from Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, and Bleeding Through. Love them or hate them, Motionless in White has really put themselves out on the map, and this is where we start our review with Graveyard Shift. Graveyard Shift was a collaborative production by Chris Motionless, the vocalist, and Drew Fulk, whom has worked with such bands like We Came as Romans, Fear Factory, Blessfall, just to name a few. Now this is a pretty interesting album because it is an album that, sounds a lot like a bunch of other bands that Motionless in White say that they are really big fans of. I mean, there's one song that sounds like a Breaking Benjamin song, there's one song that sounds like a Korn song, another one that sounds a bit like an AFI song, and even a song that sounds like it belongs on a Tony Hawk Pro Skater video game. Who knows? But, I mean, it's not saying that it's a bad album. I mean, of course, if you want, you can make a song and it would be like an influence of a band that you like. I'm fine with that. But it's just this album doesn't know what sound it is. I mean, you can't see the original, the sound to Motionless in White, and it's mostly just a lot of just influences of Motionless in White in general. I mean, they've done it a couple of times, but, I like when they did their own thing and stuff. But I digress. Let us get down onto a few songs that I have thought were my favorite and review them now, shall we? The first song on the list is the song Necessary Evil. Now, I would consider this one of my favorite songs just because the simple fact that Jonathan Davis of Korn is a special guest. And you can clearly tell that this song is deeply, heavily influenced by Korn. It sounds a bit like low-key Korn song Here to Stay, which is the first song that got me into Korn, and it's one of my absolute favorite songs off of the band. Now, the only criticism I have with this song is just the use of auto-tune from Chris Motionless himself. I mean, there's a couple of songs on this album where it's just heavily auto-tune. I just, you know me, I don't like my auto-tune and stuff. I mean, it's fine if you use it in some parts, but I absolutely hate it when auto-tune is used. And that's just where the song really just is very discredited and stuff. And also the lyrics, because Motionless in White has been known to make really smart and really creative lyrics, but this is just very generic all of a sudden. But I love the song, love the sound, it's very aggressive, and it's a Korn vibe to it that I really do like.
I'ma have my cake and fucking eat you too.
It's my party and I'll die when I want to. Die when I want to.
The next song on our list is Soft. And there is nothing really soft about this song, cause it's one of those Motionless in White songs that is really goddamn aggressive. I love the tone of the song. I love the ferocity of the vocals as well as the just the music in general, but the only downside of the song is the auto-tune again, and that's where just the value of the song really just plays it down on the chorus with the auto-tune. And you know, it's a boner killer for me, but it really makes up with just the ferocity of the music behind it as well as Chris's vocals minus the auto-tune, and it's definitely a song worthy of moshing to. If you were turned down by the auto-tune of Soft, then I think the song The Ladder would be your next treatment. The next song on our list is, of course, The Ladder, and I would say it is 10 times better than Soft. And why I say that? It's just pure unadulterated aggression, pure unadulterated just breakdowns, raw aggression into that song. And not to mention the intro of the song is a line off of the film Neon Demon, though I've never seen it, but I've heard from my friends that it's pretty good film to check out, which I hope it's on Netflix. But that's not the whole point I'm making here. The point that I'm making here is that The Ladder, I would definitely say, is a song worthy of starting a circle pit if Motionless in White was playing at your town. So have a listen.
Now you're disappointed that I used to fuck. Now you're somebody that I used to fuck. As we learn, the tables turn, so I'm betting out.
We got 3 songs left, so we are almost done with this review. The next song on our list is called Loud Fuck It, and I have to be pretty honest about this song. It is a song you would definitely hear off of a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game like around the early 2000s or the late 1990s. But my god, does it sound almost perfect for a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game like that. If they still make those games, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, you know, trying to do that sound onto your band or onto this album in the sense, but I mean, it's a good song. I'm not the skating type, but if you skate and if you happen to check out Motionless in White's discography, I would recommend the song Loud Fuck It. It might sound a little bit Limp Bizkit-y, but I don't know.
Turn it up now. When nobody hears you, you gotta stand up, you gotta commit. Say fucking, make the best of it.
The next song on our list is a favorite song of mine, 570, and I believe it is a song on how far they've come as a band, saying, you know, 10 years they've been on the road and of the like, and I think it's a very special song for them indeed. It is a song that I've used earlier this year on my traumatic childhood memories, and you know, it's a really good song. It has the typical Motionless in White sound, and I love the keyboards and synths onto this song, and I just love just the lyrics of this song in general, and it is a perfect song just to headbang, mosh in the pit in some parts of the song, but it's a very energetic song that, you know, is indeed one of my favorites off of this album. And now we are down to our final song off of this review, the last song on the album, Eternally Yours. And of course, this is a no-brainer right here. Eternally Yours is basically a love song. And you know, there's no problem with love songs at all. I love metal bands when they make love songs, heartbreak songs, but this is definitely a really good love song from this band, along with Wasp of their previous release, Reincarnate. I love those songs off of Motionless in White. But, you know, in some ways, this song really reminds me of the season finale, the finale of the show Bates Motel, which, if you haven't watched it, I would recommend watching it. It is a really good series, and it just really reminds me on Norman Bates and his devotion and his unhealthy obsession and his mental illness onto his mother, Norma Bates. And that's just what I felt about that song at the very end of the finale of Bates Motel, was that song. And it was a perfect ending and a perfect fit for Bates Motel. But in general, this is a really, really good song and has a bit of AFI vibes at the very end with the acoustics of the song. And it's a really good song, really good love song, and I just love, you know, the song in general.
I'm ready to bury all of my bones. I'm ready to hide potatoes. So tell me your secrets and join me in pieces to run in this coin made of stones. Eternally yours.
So in drawing conclusions of Graveyard Shift, it's a pretty good album. I would recommend it. Was it one of their best? Not really. I am still on Infamous, which is my favorite album off of Motionless in White. There were some songs I liked, there were some songs that should have had a little bit more work, and there were some songs that turned me up and down but redeemed themselves in some parts of the songs. I definitely did not like the auto-tune. I was a little bit confused on how a bunch of songs sounded like, you know, different other bands. It was just basically an album of just like a bunch of influences trying to sound like this band they like and this band they like, and it was just a little bit confusing not to hearing their original sound. But Graveyard Shift, with its shortcomings, is a pretty good album, I would say. Graveyard Shift gets a 7 out of 10 for this review. So I hope you enjoyed this review off of the Death Metal Reviews. I'm sorry I haven't been really focused on the Death Metal Reviews as of this year, just due to a lot of mishap and a lot of circumstances that were out of my control, which I would explain better once the new year starts. But I am hoping with 2018 there will be a bunch of the Death Metal Reviews episodes coming, and I will be revamping the series, and as well as a movie review series that I have talked about onto my Facebook page, but really need to get cranking down. So I have a lot of great stuff coming around next year, which I will be talking about on the start of 2018 once the new year starts. So leave your comments down below what you think about Graveyard Shift. I appreciate, you know, your support and your criticism, constructive criticism onto the Death Metal Reviews videos. I really appreciate them all, and just, you know, it's been fun. Without further ado, ladies and gents, I am Atticus, the Death Metaller. Hope you like this video. Subscribe to my channel. Links are in the description below. Keep it metal, and have a wonderful day.